Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. Today, we're going to be talking politics as I want to do on this channel. Actually, I have kind of a split personality, so I have a whole nother side of me that does channeled messages around your spiritual growth, your spiritual intuition, your awakening, all of those things. Those drop on Wednesdays, and they're called Wisdom on Wednesdays. Please check out that playlist, because it'll help you get through this playlist. Basically, you need one to do the other. So let's get started. You guys sent in your questions. And I do want to just say that I did a video yesterday because my spirit guide suggested I do one. And like a good person, I did my work. But when I got done with the video and I watched the video, they said, don't publish that. Now, this is not completely rare. It does happen from time to time. And I usually go through the video and I figure out what parts that I went too far. Did I say too much? Did I not get the translation correct? Because I'm seeing pictures in my mind, I'm feeling things, I'm hearing things, I'm knowing things. All of this psychic blizzard of information is swirling around, and sometimes maybe I just don't get it right. So I went through the video, I edited out a third of the video, which is way more than usual, and it still wasn't right. So guess what? I got mad, right? I got irritated and I said, I don't know what you guys want me to do. I'm trying to do the thing. You can only imagine, right? Just imagine any 14-year-old talking about how they didn't do their homework right. You got what I was doing. I forgot about it. I'm like, I'm going to, yesterday was my day off. I'm going to chill. Sunday morning, this morning, I woke up and they showed me the part that I needed to cut out, because this is your message, because I was not in resistance, right? I was able to hear the message. So sometimes when we want the message and we're like, give it to me, let me know, I need a sign, I want to know what's going on. Well, guess what? You can't get it because you want it too bad. It's almost like they're trying to give it to you, but you're smacking it out of their hands because you don't get that that's actually the message. So relax, and then it will come to you. And speaking of signs, this morning, Sunday, I got 4 signs in the last 12 hours. One was a key. I literally found a key. I found a ball, if you know, you know. And I found a feather. And also, if you know, you know, I get songs in my head that's messages from my spirit guides. And I got this song, Hold On, I'm Coming, from like the 60s or 70s. Hold on, I'm coming. So somebody's coming to help us, because me finding a ball, a feather, and a key and getting that song all within 12 hours is kind of like the cavalry is coming, because I don't normally get. I find, for me, balls are from my dad. Typically, I found probably 100 of them over the years, and usually I find them at very opportune times or opportune situations. I don't find them every day. I don't find them every month. Sometimes I go 2-3 months without finding one. But to find a ball, a feather, a key, and have that song in my head, that's basically them shouting, something is going to happen. They're coming. Hopefully it's good people that are coming. But anyway, I'm sure it is, because I don't talk to the bad people. I blocked their number. So anyway, let's move on to your questions. Thanks so much for giving them to me. I might try to throw that other video up today, now that I know what part needs to be edited. And it is, I said too much, as usual. Oh, and I wanted to say this because it was funny, and I never got this answer before, because I'm always saying to them, how about you let me know what not to say before I say it, because I'm 40% and you're 60%. You know what they told me? And it's true. They're like, we don't know what you're going to say. They don't know what the human is going to do. And that explains a lot of why we're in the position we're in right now, right? So literally, when I do these videos and then I watch them back and I watch them, I don't just push upload. I have to watch the whole thing. For some reason, now I know, because my spirit guides are watching it with me, except for that, because I'm still in my human brain, I'm not channeling anymore. I'm not getting the real-time message. This part is a problem, right? And I've got in the habit of waiting to the end to check in with them. So my lesson is to be open to that channeled information while I'm rewatching the video. And that hopefully will solve the problem of me doing videos and either not posting them at all or having to take an extra 8 hours to figure out what part, is the offending part. So anyway, that was interesting. So though I don't know, I'm channeling, I think those are things that maybe you could use with your own intuition or understanding your own intuition. Let's get going. First thing I want to say is that it's Sunday the 19th. It happens to be about 8:30 in the morning. And I wish I could tell you that I know exactly what's going to happen, but I don't know exactly what's going to happen. My spirit guides are telling me everything is going to be okay. My human analytical mind cannot figure out how that's going to be okay. So then, you go into, guess what? You go into resistance because you can't imagine. The problem is spirit sees the whole big picture and I'm not, right? I don't know what's happening at NATO. I don't know what's happening in Biden's brain or Kamala's brain or Trump's brain, right? So I can dip into those things, but then there could be a fifth person who's going to throw a wrench in the whole thing. And I never knew about them to ask the question. If you don't ask the question, you don't get the answer. Right? So this is really about being as open as possible and being and learning how to ask questions that are beyond your scope of whatever you would think. And that's one reason why it really works for me to ask for your questions, because you ask questions I wouldn't think to ask. So here we go. Linda Young says, is it possible that both Trump and Vance leave the office at the same time? 100%. What I see is not Vance being president. He wants to, like nobody's business, but I don't see him reaching it. I could be wrong, but I don't see it. So yes, I see that it's very possible that Trump and Vance leave at the same time. When I go into that energy, it's like Vance, the energy suggests that it's like Vance's birthday party gets canceled. Like he's so excited. I'm gonna have a birthday. I'm gonna have parties for me. And then he's like, okay. Like he knew, on some level, this man knows, but hope against hope. And we know, right, that this works for 45 because how many times has he almost been stopped? And because he just keeps hoping, he just keeps believing, he just keeps pushing, he oftentimes gets another opportunity, another lesson for us. Don't stop. Just keep pushing. Be like 45. Good Lord, we could all be multi-gazillionaires tomorrow. Without the grift, without the malice, without the greed, if you strip all that away, the energy is still, I believe that I can get this. I believe that I can have this. I believe I should have this. You have to admit there's a lot of power in that. If you used all of those things and then put for good at the end of it, I think we could all increase our power for the good. Integrative Manual Medicine says, what do we see Joe Biden doing for the next 6 months? Well, I have to tell you, and I'm not going to get in trouble because I want this video to go out, and I'm still feeling some kind of way about my spirit guides. So Biden doesn't feel good to me, you guys. He doesn't feel good to me. He feels like, I don't know if you guys have ever had this experience where you were in a car wreck or you were in a bad relationship, or my God, even at work, and you retire and then your body falls apart because it turns out the whole time you were running on adrenaline, but you didn't know it. You didn't know. But once the threat is gone, the adrenaline is gone, your body collapses. Your body's just like flat out, like you're a mess. You get sick, things happen. That's kind of what I feel like for Biden. I feel like this, I don't feel good about Biden's health. Okay, I just don't. I hope he does fine. I'm feeling something in his chest. I hope he does fine. I hope he is able to make the transition. The thing they're talking about is like moving at 100 miles an hour and then having to stop, because that's what this presidency is, right? He's moving at 100 miles an hour. And then on Wednesday, it's like everything stops. And that's difficult for a person to downshift to. And they're showing me the vice presidency, but it wasn't the same. It's just not not the same. Even if he had been president when Barack Obama was president, it's not the same. This is a whole new ball game that he's experiencing right now, that we are all experiencing right now. So just send him love and light. Wrap him and Jill, actually both of them, wrap them in love and light, like put them in bubble wrap. All you got to do is just think it, imagine it, say it, wish it, and it is so. Okay, just wrap them both in bubble wrap. I have an uneasy feeling about them both right now for like the next week or 10 days. I don't know. Let's see what else we have going on here. Judy says, will we ever find out the true circumstances around Ivana Trump's death? The true circumstances. The guides are saying it is known. Okay, well, the question is not, okay, well, anyway, the guides are saying it is known. People know the true circumstances, and they're saying yes. They're saying yes, that those, and you know what? Ivana comes to me quite often. Like she is a busy girl, like lady, like she pops in. If you just say her name, she's going to pop in and be talking to you. So, and I've channeled her or talked to her many times on video. She said, no, I did not fall down the stairs. She said, I was pushed, is what she says. She says, I never used those stairs. And then she also says, you know, I wasn't going to blab. You know, I think that next day she had to give a testimony or something about something. She had to literally meet with authorities and give her side of some story. And she's like, of course I wasn't going to blab. Of course I wasn't. Why would I blab? I know too much. She says, I know way more, or knew way more than just whatever that testimony was about. She's like, that was a show of force. She said, I was expendable. I was the most expendable person in the family. And it was a message. I was used as a message. And she literally just said to me, I should still be alive. Okay. I wouldn't mess with that woman, because she'll show up at your court date. She'll be whispering in the prosecutor's ear. She talks to everybody. So yes, the true circumstances are going to come out. But I think the question that's not being asked here is, will justice be done? Because that's what she wants. She wants justice to be done. And that's a whole different thing, just because we know right now, because all this truth is out there. How many people have written books describing all the grift and criminality of 45 and his entourage and his admin? It's out there. Look at Michael Cohen. It's out there. But will she have justice for her death? That's what she wants to know. And she knows who did it. Of course she does, because I'm telling you, she's in everybody's business. She's traipsing all over the world, peeking into everything. She's like a private investigator on the other side of her own death, which is helpful, because a lot of times dead people come to me and want me to do it. And I'm like, I'm a human. I don't even live where you died. I can't help you. But so she's actually being proactive. I appreciate that. So will you get justice? She said something like, damn right I will. You better be sure. Damn right I will. That woman is scorned, and she is dead, and she is deadly. So there we go. All right, let's move on. Wendy Bellow says, who or what is controlling the timeline shifts? So in my other video, which I may or may not publish, I have a busy day today. I have a big thing, not a big thing, but a monthly thing I do for my members. I have a membership with 800 people in it, and we do this Soul Growth Sunday that I've been doing for years. And it's today. And like, I have a lot to do today, so I'm going to try to fit it all in, but I don't know. Okay. Who's controlling? And the reason I said that is because on the membership, also, right. The reason I'm saying this, because I talked about this in the video that I didn't put up yesterday. Libby with Meister Tarot, amazing. She had a timeline shift on camera on her video. But she does a lot of videos. I don't remember which one. I watch them all, but things kind of, I don't remember. But she's like, I just had a timeline shift. And then right within an hour of that, I get a notification on my phone, you know, that somebody's posting on my membership. And one of my members said, I was at the hairdresser And I just had a timeline shift. Like, I know that I got sucked out of one timeline and put into another timeline. And she said it was not comfortable, was not comfortable. And I really don't appreciate them doing that when I'm relaxing at the hair salon. My point being, we're all experiencing these timeline shifts. Whether or not you feel it, how you feel it could be different. You could just be very sleepy. You could be wired. You could be having thoughts or dreams you don't normally have. You might not even be aware, but we're all having a timeline shift right now. And the guides are showing me what they talked about in the past. And I realize now that Cash Peters, another great reader, also said in one of his pictures, which was a train going and somebody pulls the lever and it switches tracks. Remember when the guide said that like weeks ago? Cash Peters picked up on the same thing. That's what this is. This is a timeline shift. The train is going down the track, somebody pulls the lever, and the train goes in a different track. That's what happened when Kamala lost the election. They stole it from her. And I will just say briefly, because in this other video, so if I just say everything that I said in that video, maybe I don't have to post a video. Another aha moment that I had in that video was, I've talked a lot about how Kamala's destiny was stolen. Her soul path was stolen from her. And that can happen. It's not very, it is very rare. Very rare. But here's the aha moment. They didn't just steal her legacy or her soul path or her destiny. They stole ours. They stole the world's, because she, as the United States leader, as the president, was going to impact all of our lives and impact the world. So they messed up on a magnitude that's much bigger, and it's not allowed. You know what they're also saying, and this is not about Kamala Harris, but they're saying they want to give you the alternate reality. If Trump was supposed to be president and somebody stole that from him and we put in Mickey Mouse, well, then Trump would be given it back. It's not about good or bad. It's about destiny. Okay. In this case, it's her destiny and she's supposed to do it. Now, there's other energy around us that's good or bad. I hope you can make sense of this. I'm talking about two different things. One is destiny, and it doesn't matter if your destiny is good or bad, it's your destiny. Number two is how that destiny got stolen is an energetic war between good and bad, light and dark. Two different things, but that's what's going on here. So who's controlling the timeline shifts is the energetic war between the light and the dark. And it's, the guides are saying it's universal law. So, just as you have laws in your country or city or town or province or state, the universe has laws. These people, these energies, which are both people and people, humans, and energies, non-human, have interfered with the universal law of humanity's free will. And that's why the Popo is coming to town. Hold on, I'm coming. Okay. That's who's controlling the time shifts. It's basically a fight that is a different consciousness, not a higher consciousness, different consciousness, different realm that is trying to control humans. Okay, I'm going to move on. Leanne Patterson says, will his supporters see the light and turn on him? Yes, but not altogether. We already, if you're not aware, there's already many channels and many social media accounts of people who were Trumpers, who are not Trumpers, and they're proselytizing against Trump to Trumpers. Okay, so this has already been going on, but we see it even this weekend when the inauguration was supposed to be outside. All these people bought tickets to go to the inauguration. Never mind that it's 20 degrees or whatever, they don't care. They bought tickets. They spent thousands of dollars on airfare, hotel, food, blah, blah, blah. And they're locked out. The inauguration's been moved inside. So not only do they have tickets they spent money on, but Trump left them out in the cold, literally. So this is starting, like, it's starting to dawn on them. And I would say the guides are saying something else that's really freaked out the Trumpers, because I've told you guys in videos before, like right after the election, I'm saying all the words. I'm saying all the words. Like, when I put this necklace on, I think it's kyanite. I was like, uh-oh, Susan's coming for him today. Not good. Not good. Anyway, right after the E thing, there was all these, 45 supporters came out in droves and had flags I've never seen, houses I've never seen have any political affiliation. All of a sudden had a 5-foot flag. And I was like, my God, it's like they're coming out of the hole in the ground or something, where they've been hiding. They all retracted. We had a guy ran around town with big flags on his truck every day, like twice a day. At least every time I was in my car, I saw this man. He's disappeared. They've pulled back. Okay. They know that they effed up. And the reason they know is because 45 people are in the heavy land of conspiracy on the fringes of, the fringes of the fringe. And a lot of that intersects with preppers. And the preppers have been saying, here's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to grow your own vegetables. You're going to have to learn how to fix your car. You're going to have to get solar. You're going to have to go off grid. And these 45 supporters are like, why? Come on, why? And they're like, because the tariffs, everything, you're not going to be able to afford anything. I mean, you're not going to be able to afford zero. So believe me when I say that these 45 supporters are terrified. They might not be telling you, because they're not going to tell you, but inside they're terrified. They know they've made a mistake. They're not at a place where they can eat crow yet. They're not at a place where they can admit that they were wrong, because they're not broken yet. So, but yes, on the inside, they know they've been had. But when you just got to let people save face. If you give them some room and you say, you know what, I don't know about him. I don't know why he would do this. It just seems odd that he would lock his people out. I wonder if he's worried about something. If you say open-ended questions to them instead of Trump is a jerk, screaming at them. If you just say, I wonder why, or I don't know, they'll start talking to you. And that will allow dialogue. And then you can just figure out what's going on in their brain instead of pounding the nail down into the wood. We need to actually allow them room to talk it through and explain and have somebody listen to them. Now, if they're talking it through and saying a bunch of racist stuff, then no, that's not acceptable, right? We have boundaries. But if they're just saying, yeah, I don't know, it's weird that he would do that. I don't, maybe, if it's, as long as it's kind of like a gentle, respectful dialogue, yes, do that. Okay. Laura Wright says, will we ever know the truth about the 2024 election? I think we will. And I think we will know it again. If you watched all the videos for like a long time, even way back when Biden was president years ago, the guides explained that, and it is true, even though Susan doesn't always agree with this is what the guides say, and I think this is very true. If the American people found out about all of the grift and all of the injustice and all of the bad all at one time, it would make us lose confidence in our country. And instead of voting, we wouldn't. And this is kind of where we're going. I hate to say it, but instead of being active citizens, we wouldn't. We would just be like, screw it. And that would also bring on this kind of anarchy energy and this lawless energy. And because there would be no respect for the rule of law, for justice, for our Constitution. And I'm talking about on both sides of the aisle here, okay? And what that does is it makes us weak to our enemies, number one. And then they devalue our dollar, and then they start doing little things like to intimidate us. That's not good. And then also it makes chaos in our country, and then people aren't working. People don't care. They're like, I'm not joining in this capitalistic regime. And honestly, this is kind of where we're going with this whole TikTok thing, right? Like, I want to do a whole video just on the TikTok thing. I'm not even on TikTok. I mean, I have 5 videos there, right? But it's fascinating because if you follow me on Threads or you follow me on Blue Sky, the guides have been saying this is about censoring. It's not about national security. It's about censoring, because we can't have, the tech bros, the American oligarchs, Biden finally mentions oligarchs. I'm like, hello, you're a little late, sir. They can't have Americans congregating, getting powerful. They hire astrologers. Maybe 45 doesn't listen to advice, but you better believe anybody with a lot of money has astrologers, numerologists, psychics, all the above on board, paid professionals. They know what's coming. They know we're going into the season of Aquarius for 20 or 30 years. Power to the people. They know they're about to lose. So what do? They start shutting down our social media. What did they do? Buy Twitter, ruined it. That was an international, amazing site where I could talk to an attorney general. I could talk to a general. I could talk to a writer at the New York Times. It would literally flattened everything. And you could get real information, not information that was edited by Washington Post, but by an author who's able to share more with you because there's no editor there. They shut that down, right? They killed it. Now they're killing TikTok for the same reason, because it's a Chinese app, and you can't supervise that. You can't call in China into Congress and slap their hands the way they do Zuckerberg. They can't have that. So this is about censoring, really and truly. But what's happening is that this is why they can't stop us. Okay, this is why we're going to know the truth about the 2024 election. This is why not only is the truth out there, but we're becoming more and more ready to hear it, because they shut down TikTok. Over $1 billion, several many billion dollars worth of income in the United States, not to corporations, to people that would be like me. People make their whole living on TikTok. Okay, this is huge. Number one, people find a lot of use, a lot of fun, pleasure. They enjoy it. Okay. So when they shut down TikTok, and they did it early, they weren't supposed to even do it until midnight, and they shut it down at like 7 p.m. Do you know people were trying to download their videos? This was like, the cruelty was the point, right? So what's interesting, what you guys should pay attention to, is how people are reacting to that, because there's this app called Redbook. It's just like Facebook, but for China. Red Book, Facebook, get it? Well, a lot of it's in Mandarin, but thousands and thousands of TikTok users downloaded that app and just went to Redbook, mostly as a protest. You think that TikTok is a national security threat? You want to know what? And I have videos. I will go ahead and share my password, my email, my name, my birth date. I will gladly give China all of my information.
I love this. So it was on a video where I was talking about how little I care that the Chinese has my data, because American companies already have it and sell it and exploit it. I don't care. But I want to remind you what I said exactly, and keep in mind, they had to translate this into Chinese.
It is impossible to underestimate how little I care that the Chinese has my data. I will suck on a tampon and overnight it to the CCP. Okay, I do not care.
The funniest part is American citizens wouldn't even be talking to Chinese citizens if the U.S. government didn't try to ban TikTok, because they claimed TikTok was going to push Chinese communist propaganda, right? And then a bunch of Americans went and joined an app specifically designed for Chinese citizens that was cleared by the Communist Party of China. And then suddenly we have cross-cultural exchange between American citizens and Chinese citizens. American citizens start to realize the Chinese people are people that honestly, It feels good that some of y'all, I know you don't travel, but you're like, oh my God, look, they have groceries like us. That blew my mind. A lot of y'all were like, they have houses like that. It feels weird. I don't know what you thought they were doing in China. Feels weird. But the opposite side of that is the fact that the Chinese thought a lot of true things about us were actually communist propaganda from China. That is fucking, they thought their government was lying on us. Like, I've seen the comment sections where people would be like, yo, our government, the Chinese government said that y'all Americans have to pay for your own ambulances. Like, that's crazy. That's like a lie. They're like talking shit on capitalism, and legit Americans have to be like, no, for real, we have to pay for our own ambulances. Like, ambulances aren't free. And they're like, yo, what? Okay, but like that bullshit about your kids possibly needing like a bulletproof backpack, like that's crazy. And we're like,
Can you guys wrap your head around that for a minute? We're trying to protect our information from, people like China. And here Americans are like, here, have it, because I hate my government. So here we are, right? Yes, we're getting to this point where Americans are ready. They're ready to know the truth. They already suspect the truth, and they're already bucking the capitalistic system. And I would just say the last thing that I think is fascinating is that there's been this amazing cultural exchange on Red Book, because Chinese people are talking to American people. And Chinese people are asking American people things about their lives. And American people are asking Chinese people about their lives. And this is middle America who don't travel, who are just our regular Americans, are being exposed to a whole culture that they don't know anything about, and vice versa. You cannot stop this. They cannot put the genie back in the bottle. They can try to stop the election. They can try to kill all the social media apps or censor them. They can try to lock it all down, but you can't. You cannot. And if you've watched my other videos, Spirit has said that Americans would have a lockdown on their freedom. You remember? Months ago, here we are, lockdown on the freedom. Americans are saying, no, you're not going to do that. And I'll tell you the last thing that I think is fascinating about this, because you can get a VPN, you'll have to Google it. I don't know what the acronym stands for, but basically, if you use a VPN, it's like an interface to the internet, and you can tell the internet, I'm actually in Britain. I'm not in the United States. And then when you do that, your internet has access to things that are shown in Britain. Like if there's only a show that's only on in Britain, you get a VPN, you flip it over, you're watching British shows. Okay, so it's like it tricks the internet into thinking you live somewhere else. It also protects your internet. It's like a firewall, so to speak. Okay, now here's the problem. People said, well, let's just get a VPN and we'll be able to use our TikTok because we can just change the country to another country, because everybody else still gets TikTok. Canada, Mexico, everybody still gets TikTok, but the United States of America. Guess what happened? That doesn't work, because the servers that host TikTok are gone, out of commission. So the VPN isn't helping anybody. Okay. So here's the thing that's fascinating, and I want you to keep an eye on, because this is just super fascinating to me. The guides told me people are going to get phones with other country SIM cards. So it's going to be like, you get a $50 phone, $100 phone, whatever, and you get an international SIM card for Mexico or Canada. And then it's like you're living in Canada because your phone is connected to Canada. It's not connected to the United States. And it's not that expensive to do it. So all the TikTokers have to do is get international phones. Just buy a cheap phone, and then they can do their TikTok right in America. Do you see how wild this is? You cannot stop the energy. What are they gonna do? Ban international phones? I mean, the people are smarter than the oligarchs. The people are smarter than the tech bros. And the people have tasted freedom. They're talking to Chinese people. Now they understand cultural expansion in ways they never could have before. So all these things that they try to take from us end up backfiring on them and causing us to be more expansive. Okay. Again, this was all in the other video. I'm sorry. I'm avoiding the one thing that I'm not supposed to talk about. Okay. But yes, we are going to know the truth about the 2024 election. And the thing that keeps me up at night is not, I mean, I don't know why I said that, because it all keeps me up at night. But the thing that needs to be fixed is our elections. Period. End of story. If Kamala gets in tomorrow, we still got problems. We've got to get to the point where we accept that it was done. We identify who did it. We investigate who did it. We charge who did it. We hold them accountable. We have to get to that point. And I think it's helpful that other countries have also been hacked in that way, because I think we're going to have more energy to do this together. There's going to be an international consortium, is what the guides are saying, or group that's going to band together to create some kind of committee or group consortium that investigates this and says, I think they're going to add something to the NATO bylaws that say that, and I think this is already in the works, that says that meddling in an election is considered an act of war. We have to throw the gauntlet down and say, no, you're not going to go over this boundary. And if you do, we're going to consider it an act of war and we're going to attack you. It's that important. We have to admit it is absolutely that important. The United States is nowhere near there yet. Nowhere near. But we've got 2 years to figure it out. And I think we can. But I think also you have to understand the level of mayhem, the level of chaos, the level of just feeling unsupported in all ways that's going to happen. You know, you and I are aware of everything. We're aware of all of the darkness. I mean, it would be hard pressed to surprise you or me. 60% of Americans are not aware of 1/10 of it. They don't think about the school attacks. They don't think about the wildfires. They don't think about the flooding. They don't think about the hacking of the system of our democracy. They just don't think about it because they feel like it's out of their control. There's nothing they can do. So they just don't think about it. But guess what? Now this is changing and they are going to think about it. They are going to wake up to it because maybe they're a TikToker talking to a Chinese person and learning about communism. It's on. The game is on. This is where we're going, to full disclosure, full expansion, and full responsibility. We have to take responsibility. All of us do. Okay. Whew, let's move on. That was a lot. I mean, the energy is a lot. Debbie says, will Jack Smith be able to get 45 for overseas crimes now that he's gone back to work for The Hague? You're welcome. Yes and no. The guides are saying yes and no. I do see 45 being held accountable. That's interesting. Held accountable internationally. But I don't see 45 having direct contact with him. I just don't. I think he's not going to be alive long enough. I mean, he's not going to be mentally stable. It's kind of the same thing like what I talked about with Biden. Like you're on this adrenaline rush and when it's over, you just crumple, right? But 45 is on all kinds of other rushes, right? And when that's over, he's going to crumple. So, but I do see other people, and they are Americans and they are politicians, people maybe like Mike Johnson, whatever his name is, the speaker, who is that guy? The guy in Alabama who was the coach, Tuberville. I just see sometimes they just show me faces, right? People like that. There's a whole handful, 5 to 8 people that could be investigated internationally. Because RICO laws, racketeering, mob, you get this person because they're connected to that person, because they're connected to this country, because they're connected to this person, but they're all connected and they all go down. So that's what I see. I don't see 45. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about all this. This is what I'm getting right now. Take it all with a grain of salt. Annette wants to know, will Avril Haines' report ever be released to the public? She's the National Intelligence Director or something like that. And we didn't even know that department existed. Like, this is a whole department we didn't even know existed. But they investigate, among other things, election fraud. The guides want to insert into your question, will Avril Haines' whole report ever be released to the public? They want to insert whole, like the entire thing. And I don't think the whole thing will ever be released, but I do think parts of it are going to be released. Again, I'm seeing like Jan 6 committee, a truth commission that is tasked with looking into, and I see Liz Cheney on it, right? That's tasked with looking into the fraud and who did it and how did they do it, and giving a report to the president. Now, you can only know that if that committee exists, the 45 is not the president. You have to know that. But I will also tell you guys, look how long it took Jan 6 to become a committee. Then look how long it took for them to release the report. So I don't know that this is even going to happen. I'm not sure that this is going to happen very quickly. And then I would just say about the voting, what they just showed me was behind closed doors, like in a skiff, which is like a protected, intelligence protected room where there's no cell phones. There's no way that any data can come in or out. It's completely offline. So in a skiff, I see leaders, political leaders, meeting with companies that have created these machines and coming up with a plan to keep them safe. It's not available to the public. This is, again, I know it's wrong. I mean, Susan thinks it's wrong. The guides don't think it's wrong. The American public needs to be a mushroom. They needs to stay in the dark because it's easier to fix things. The thing the guides always say is the hamster died and it's 2:00 and you run to the pet store to get another one because you don't want your kid to be freaking out and melting down for the next 3 days. Because in the end, it's not that big a deal. Because it's better to keep the American people working. They always talk about that, right? The American people, we are our economy. We are the GDP, the gross domestic product is us buying things. So if we stop buying things, the whole economy crashes. And guess what? The oligarchs are mad. The politicians are mad. It looks bad on a politician to have their economy crash. They'd rather fix this in the dark. They'd rather fix this behind closed doors. They'd rather say to the people, everything is fine. Go ahead, do your stuff. I mean, that's what Biden did for 4 years. He said, everything is fine, folks. I got it. I got it. Behind the scenes, God only knows what he was doing to save our butts. That's the way they do it. So that's why I don't think Avril Haines' report is going to be public. Maybe I'm wrong, because what we just talked about with humans buying foreign phones and what they told you before, which is person of the year is going to be the whistleblower. So could be that somebody just blows the whistle and posts her report everywhere. But if you're asking me if the government's going to do it, no. Can it be leaked? Yes. Will it be leaked? Remains to be seen. Let's do 1 or 2 more questions. Janie has an interesting question. Why do some psychics say the opposite of each other? And I would just say to you guys that if all of us knew exactly what was going to happen, the game of life would be over. There's no point to be on this planet if you know everything that's going to happen. That's why none of us knows everything that's going to happen. It's not allowed. Universal law. It's not allowed. So the fact that we disagree sometimes means that our interpretation of the information we're getting is different. And it's up to the human to interpret the information. And it really kind of depends, on how many years you've done this, whether or not you're like, you know what, I got a message that there's going to be a head injury, and I told everybody there's going to be a head injury, but it turns out that it was a head injury to their thinking. Their mind was blown. Okay, so your mind is blown. Well, did somebody hit you in the head physically? Did somebody shoot you in the head? Or did you have a mind-blowing experience that gave you a whole new idea and perception? So it's just not black and white. And that gives you, the viewer, the opportunity to use your discernment, right? You could say, Susan's usually right, but on this situation, I don't feel like she's got it right. I don't know. That's fine. Be respectful to me, please. But you don't have to believe everything I said. Sometimes I get it wrong, right? We're not going to be 100% right, because if we were, we would take over the world, wouldn't we? We would know all the numbers. We would know the outcome to everything. We would become all powerful in a way that this Earth planet school does not accept. This is not acceptable. It is not possible. So in that way, we're all trying to figure it out on our own, with our own life experiences, with our own versions of our interpretation of it, and our own experience levels. And that's kind of why I would say that sometimes we're all different, or sometimes some of us are right, and some of us are wrong. I've certainly been wrong where others been right. It's just, and hopefully we're all learning. The point is, we don't give our power away to somebody and say, Susan says it's going to happen, so it's going to happen. That's not at all what should happen here. What should happen is, I should learn from my experience. Okay, mind blown, head injury. Wow. Well, in that case, it was literally a fatal, accident. But in this case, it was, their mind was blown. And in this case, they had a mental breakdown and they lost their mind. You can see how that same energy of losing your mind, losing your head, could manifest all these different ways. And it's up to the psychic to figure out which one may be right. Not the easiest thing to do, okay? So that's why. And here's a situation of fiery Aries where I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, right? Like, I have not seen, but I got to tell you, there's a little opening here with the energy. I have not seen in the past the cojones, the courage, the ovaries, the spine of our administration, and I'm not talking about Kamala Harris, but I'm talking about the administration and or Congress, to say, hold up, two things. First of all, this man cannot be president because he's, I want to call him a terrorist, but he's a, whatever, you know what he is. He's a felon, but he's also someone who participated in a coup, okay? That, period, end of story. The man is not eligible. Okay, that could be one thing. The second thing would be that, well, we've discovered some irregularities in the VOTE, and we're going to investigate this. And until we're investigating, this is done, and we think this is going to take 3 months, we're not going to transfer power. Biden doesn't have, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I don't see him having the spine to do this. Biden thinks that this is a stress test on democracy, which it is. But I think when a patient is on a treadmill and there's a stress test, there's like doctors around to save them. And I don't know that there's anyone around to save us. But anyway, Biden thinks that the different powers, the Congress, the judicial, the executive, he just thinks that the republic with all the states, he thinks it's going to work itself out, and it's going to choose democracy, and it's going to fight back, and it's going to not accept this. I mean, that's what he thinks. He thinks that for him to seize power is him being like Donald Trump, and he refuses to be like Donald Trump. That's when I go into his energy, that's what he tells me. Now, he's been forced to do things he didn't want to do. He told me he wouldn't pardon his son. He ended up pardoning his son. He's been forced to do things he said he wouldn't. Maybe on Monday he will do something different. But your question is, Hope, which is Tim Walz's daughter, left a cryptic TikTok. How interesting. Like, that's going to that disappeared unless you live in Canada. Before it was banned, saying Trump voters were going to be disappointed on Monday and we should have empathy for them. What do your guys say about this? Well, Hope is a very empathic, very grounded person. And I think she could also be saying that these voters, we talked about it already, that they're already locked out. They're already locked out of his presidency. He's already evicted them. He's already taken their money and basically thrown them away. So yes, on Monday they're going to feel sorry. This is already happening, right? So there's a lot of ways you could read. Again, going back to the previous question about why are some psychics read things differently. See how you can read this different ways? MAGA's already upset. MAGA's already feeling left out in the cold. They're already sorry and sad. We already talked about this. Now, another way you could read this is something's going to happen and they're going to be disappointed. Now, I would say to you, let's think about this. If Kamala Harris is president or Biden stays in the presidency, I don't think they're going to be disappointed. I think they're going to be enraged. So that's a whole different energy. So that's why I want you to think about these things from 5 different directions. Think about it from literally like you're walking around something and you're looking at it 360 degrees. Not just one thing, because believe me when I say this energy is 360-degree energy. Nothing is what it seems to be. It's chaos energy. So I think his people would be enraged on Monday, not disappointed. Okay, so that's what I would say about that. I think they're disappointed because they're not getting what they voted for. They're not getting what they thought they would get. Now, the last thing I would say is that, the 3 things, right? Like it could be that, I can't remember what I just said because I'm channeling, but it could be that they decide that the VOTE was stolen and they need to investigate it. It could be that there's an attack on the United States. And there was a third thing that I already talked about, but I don't have right now. Those are the things that I can see that would stall or stop the transfer of power. And the only one that's made sense to me that's had energy behind it is an attack. And I talked about this in the video I didn't post, but I do see the potential for some sort of attack on the United States. And I feel like it could be an attack on a Navy ship. I could be wrong. I got a lot of energy around sonar, which turns out is like underwater radar. I got a lot of energy around dolphins and was it beluga whales? There's a certain type of mammal that Russia has used. They've strapped literally harnesses on them, and they put cameras or they put different things on them to do missions. They're like underwater spies before we had drones. And so I got a lot of energy around dolphins and around underwater drones. And if something happened, like an attack on the United States, and it would have to be a big attack, because right now we have ships out in the sea and they get missiles fired at them from Iran or the Houthis or somebody, and we intercept them. But what if one of those missiles got by us and hit one of our ships? At what point do we declare war? And I'm just going to tell you that the United States is loath to declare war. I think they've attacked us, our military, in Syria or in other places. We've never declared war. So for us to declare war would have to be huge. I mean, really big. So conversely, for Kamala Harris to get, for Biden to not step down and Kamala Harris to stay in and not have that transfer of power, something would have to be an order of magnitude of an earthquake, a tsunami, a tornado, and a hurricane all together to get the United States to do that. Is it out of the realm of possibility? No, it is not out of the realm of possibility. Even right now, it is not out of the realm of possibility. Even if 45 gets into the office, which I cannot see, maybe it's my own personal bias, I cannot see it, but even if he gets in, to get him out, it's going to take that kind of extreme situation. Now, the thing that I can tell you is I don't see him being in office for any length of time. If he gets in, I don't see him in for like a year or 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. Something extreme is going to happen. And when he goes, Vance goes. They both go, because the truth is going to come out. If the United States Congress, if whoever's in charge doesn't have the cojones, doesn't have the spine to do this, the American people will do it. There will be leaks. There will be whistleblowers. And the American people are so fed up right now. And they're being emboldened by this energy of Pluto going into Aquarius, which is emboldening people. It's making the people feel awake, alive, powerful, and giving them the energy to look at the truth and to say, we're not these people. America is not MAGA. We're not. And we are going to put MAGA in its place. And we're going to make space for true democracy. And that feels like a revolution to me. And we're also astrologically in the French Revolution energy. So it's a revolution. It doesn't have to be the kind of revolution that you think it is. Again, a revolution could be a revolution of the mind. It could be a revolution of action. It could be a revolution of dissemination of information. So again, like your mind is blown, or your mind is blown off, or your mind is defective. All different types of energy to explain the same thing. Your mind is offline, right? Same thing with revolutions. This is why I want you guys to be expansive and think 360 degrees. Don't think about one thing versus another thing, black and white. That's not going to help you. You have to step back. Try to get your bias over to the side and see it from all different ways. The same way these people who are on Red Book are talking to Chinese people and finding out a lot about Chinese culture, and Chinese people are finding out a lot about US culture, and it's blowing both of their minds, right? Thank you for watching to the end. Take really good care of yourself. Relax, take a deep breath. It's a terrible situation. It is horrible, but we're going to get through this. We are going to get through this. We're going to get through it together. Okay. Take really good care of yourself. I'll see you soon. for entertainment purposes only.